This is your place for all things Grand Rapids Griffins and all things Toledo Walleye. This is the Hockeytown West podcast with your host, Brandon Cook and Nick Harrington.
And welcome back to another episode of the Hockeytown West podcast, your source for everything Grand Rapids Griffins and Toledo Walleye hockey. I'm one of your hosts, Brandon.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Travis.
And we've got an interesting episode for everyone today. The Grand Rapids Griffins played 2 games over this past weekend against the last place team in the division, second to last place team in the league, and came out with losses in both of those. So we're going to talk about those. We're going to talk a little Red Wings because how do you not with the tear that they're on right now? And a bunch of other stuff in there too. I think a lot of special teams talk when it comes to the Grand Rapids Griffins here. But before we dive into all that, Nick, man, how you doing today?
Man, it's weird. Like, the vibes were so good here in GR, and the vibes were so bad in Detroit. So, like, it was good, you know? And now the vibes have kind of swapped. So I don't really know how to feel anymore.
I think Nick's the only person that can take 3 losses in a row as bad as vibes as what it was in Detroit. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. There's a lot to work on, but that's not that bad.
I kind of expected Detroit to be, like...
Yeah.
Bad with Alone and good with Todd, and I expected the Griffins to be good, you know.
They're still decent. We'll get there. Travis, man, how are you doing today? You had a crazy weekend where you didn't get to really watch any hockey at all, unfortunately, with work, but did you at least get some sleep, or at least rested at this point?
No sleep.
Yeah.
No sleep.
But,
yeah, last week was long, but you know what? It is what it is. The sun goes down, the sun comes up the next day, and just got to keep
some days
working.
you saw it do both.
It felt like it, that's for sure. Yeah, and with what's forecasted coming up, I mean, I could be looking at, like, I don't know, anywhere from possibly 20 plus straight days, basically driving. So yeah, a lot of fun.
That sounds miserable. I like driving, and that sounds miserable to me. Nick's over there like, I hate this. It sounds awful.
I hate driving.
I used to love it, and now when you just drive a circle around and round and round and round for upwards of 16 hours a day, and it's the same circle over and over and over, it does get a little tedious. But we actually did get some snow, which made Friday night enjoyable. Like, it was kind of fun Friday.
Do you ever imagine yourself as, like, just a NASCAR driver then?
No.
Maybe you should. That could be fun then. It could make it more fun.
Well, that wouldn't work because all of the turns on our routes are right, not left. So I'd crash instantly.
Improvise.
Yeah, but I'd just end up on the infield somewhere, not on the asphalt.
Well, before you do that, we'll move on. But before we dive into all the topics and everything in the show, I just want to remind everyone that the only way this show is possible is through our Patreon subscribers and supporters over there. If you want to join them and check out the tiers we have available over there, head over to patreon.com/HockeytownWestPodcast. Join everyone over there that's already supporting the show. They're all incredible people. We appreciate them, and we make the tiers as affordable as possible. And now that Nick's back on the show, all 3 of us are back together and all figuring out our life schedules, content over there. We'll definitely start pumping out here soon and getting a lot of bonuses over there, and probably some giveaways that are exclusive to Patreon here soon too. So make sure you head over there, like I said, patreon.com/HockeytownWestPodcast. Check out the tiers for us there. We appreciate everyone who's already supported, and if you're thinking about it, we appreciate you too. Now let's dive in here. Before we get to news and updates on the AHL side, we've got to talk about the Detroit Red Wings. One, because a Griffin alumni had a great weekend this weekend, finally getting some opportunity in the lineup, which we've been dying to see. He got his opportunity last week. We saw the pairing finally show up of Albert Johansson and Simon Edvinsson together, and we knew already that was going to work really well. And it's getting to see Detroit fans see that work so well has been fantastic. But 2 assists in 1 game and his first NHL goal over the weekend is something that we love to see. We're so happy for Albert Johansson. One, because the joke on this show for the longest time is it's so hard to find a time where that kid's smiling because he's so serious and he doesn't smile very often. But boy, the smile on his face watching that goal back after the goal, you just love to see it. Nick, I know you and I, big Albert guys, as we watched him here in Grand Rapids, man, you got his jersey hanging up in the frame behind you right next to Edvinsson. I feel like you did that on purpose. But at the same time, man, how do you feel about watching his play lately?
I'm so stoked. I was so happy to see. My buddy had texted me that Albert had scored because we were at the game Friday. We were at the Griffins Friday, and when he had scored, so we weren't able to watch the game while we were up there in the press box. So I came home and I watched the highlights as fast as I could, and to see his goal backdoor, like just popping that in. So stoked for the kid. I like understood going into the season that he was like the odd guy out, but I still wanted him to get some more time. And finally, with Todd coming in, I thought he would get time with Simon. Like it's crazy to see two rookies right on the same line holding down the defense, but it's been working. Like you've got a manageable second line defense pairing now and a first line pairing with Sider and Sherratt. So I love that it's working. He's getting the points. He's getting rewarded for all the work. When you started this segment, I thought you were going to talk about Marco Casper, another alumni who's on fire as well. But I'm super happy for Albert.
Yeah, no, Albert gets his flowers first here because we gave Marco his first NHL goal flowers a while back. But yeah, man, Albert and Simon together is great. Now, Simon and Sider together obviously worked fantastic, but it's good if you can spread that depth out. And Todd's got Ben Sherratt looking like a brand new player. Let's be real here. He's playing significantly better under Todd McLellan. So that first pairing's working great. This second pairing is great. Having this depth defense is something that midway through the season before Todd got here, we didn't think we had. You kind of think you just had a first pairing and everything else was kind of a dumpster fire. And I don't know if it's because if Albert only got the shot because of Petrie's injury or what, but at the same time, like you gotta, if you're the coach, how do you put Petrie back in with the way Albert's playing right now? He's outplayed pretty much anything Petrie's done all season, mainly because Petrie's goals keep getting taken away from him. But at the same time, like he's defensively way more sound. I mean, Travis, just what are your overall thoughts if Petrie comes back? Does he touch the lineup again? I mean, that sounds mean to say, but at the same time, Albert's playing at a whole new level.
There's a few different avenues we could go here. I think the biggest thing to answer your question directly is I would say no. I wouldn't change a lineup that's not like losing games. Like, don't try to fix something if it's not broken. If anything, you just rotate him and Hull. That's kind of where I'm at with it. Because, I mean, let's be real, Albert and Simon together, they've played so much hockey together. They just have that familiarity with each other of how they play, what they both can do, what they, kind of know what they can get away with, what they can't get away with together, with just similarity in play style. Sherratt has been really good. But honestly, the guy that's really like just bursted onto the scenes is Gustafsson. He was really the guy that was like, everybody's like, get him off the ice. And now it's like, okay, this is kind of what we expect, like what we hoped would happen with him the last, 7 games or so. To go back to Albert, I mean, it's like you said, Brandon, if you can break the skill up, it kind of helps you out. And it's only going to help you by getting Albert as many games as you can now for next year when you have probably or potentially another rookie in the lineup. So it just goes to show that a new voice can give you opportunity. Injury can give you opportunity, and Albert's made the most of it.
Yeah, and it's crazy too. One, just talk on Gus. I think I threw it in the group chat the other night, and I was like, the Todd father's got Gus looking like Ghost out here. Like, this is a whole new player in himself, which I love to see because I was right on that same fence of, yeah, don't let this guy touch the ice again. But a lot of the comments from Newsy when it came to Albert was, the little mistakes here and there that could shake his confidence. And again, like, I didn't see that much when he played, even when Newsy was behind the bench. But at the same time, it makes me really think back to just what were these mistakes and what was he worried about shaking his confidence? Because Albert's one of the most confident young defensemen I've seen in a while. Like, this kid's got nothing but confidence and swagger in his own way. He doesn't have the psychotic smile that, Edvinsson has when he's about to rip someone's head off, or, he's not flashy like Bergie or anything like that, but he's got a swagger of his own. And I feel like in the games with Newsy behind the bench, he had that there. He just didn't really have an offensive upside at that point. It was great defensively. But what was Newsy looking at that Todd's like, yeah, you're crazy. This kid's going in here and he's gonna play.
I mean, it's hard to say. We don't have that answer. We probably never will have that answer in full.
I want that answer.
Well, I don't think you're going to get it.
Give us the answer.
The one thing that I can say that I can completely agree with, McCollum was talking about it the other night, or it could have been a practice. I don't know. It's just been a big difference to listen to him talk. But as a whole, like, he was talking about Albert and how he has to be, like, so much better positionally because he's not 6'6", 6'5", 6'4", like some of these other big defensemen the Red Wings have. But when you're in the right spot positionally, you don't have to be the biggest player in the world, which, I mean, saying that he's small by any means. He's 6 foot, so it's not like he's short, like 5'8", 5'7". So, but that's one thing that stood out. And like if you watch the game, he again is always positionally. It seems like he's in the right spot. So, and again, that goes back to playing with Simon. When you have a partner, if you can play with that partner for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, you start to build that chemistry of just knowing where each other's going to be. And then it's like second nature.
It's crazy how well they picked it up too after such a long stint of not playing with each other, and they just got right back on it. It's like riding a bike. They just didn't forget. It's crazy to see how well they are together, and I hope it stays that way. I really do. I don't think you can change this at this point. This 7-game stretch has been so much fun as a Red Wings fan. Like watching what they've been able to do against, some okay teams, but like that, I think back to that Winnipeg game, and I'm just like, holy smokes, this is a whole new team. But this stretch coming up is going to probably be the true test for this team.
I would agree. 7-game win streak is huge. They haven't had that in the last 10 years, I think is the stat. So something like that. It's crazy. It's good. Like they should be beating these teams though. That's my whole hesitation. I was like, people are playing at Stanley Cup parades out there. I'm like, hold up. Like they beat Chicago. They beat Seattle, who's a mess. They've beaten who else has been on this? Columbus, who's also under 500, I believe.
They're in a playoff spot, bro.
Yeah, wrong answer.
But still,
they're on a tear.
Out of the 7 teams that they've played, only 2 have winning records, which Winnipeg and Washington.
And Columbus.
That's 3.
Columbus.
Columbus has a winning record. They are in a playoff spot, 100%.
I literally checked the score today, and they were not over 500.
Keep talking. I'll correct you later.
Okay. So that's why I'm like, you got to see these steps going forward of these next 7 games they play. There's only 2 teams that have losing records in these next 7 games. So that's where the true test, I think, is going to be. And by that time, they should be more adjusted to Todd and the system that he's trying to run, and also the new coach bump, the new coach feeling should be off, right? Now this is them should be playing hockey.
I don't think that's going to wear off for a minute here, because whatever energy he's injected into that room has got a lot of the guys going, especially in the veterans. I mean, look what Patrick Kane's been doing after he was silent for pretty much the first half of the season here. And to correct you, Nick, yes, the Blue Jackets are above 500. They have a winning record. They're 20-17-6. And Ottawa actually also has a winning record. I should point that out there as well. And I know we beat them in that stretch as well. But that doesn't matter. Either way, the stretch coming up is going to be the true test. But at the same time, yes, we're beating teams that we should beat. But also when they're beating them, they are beating them. They beat the brakes off of Seattle in the first period of the game. That was insane. I knew Seattle was a mess. And yes, they had played the night before. But to come out and dominate the way that they did so fast right there, that was unbelievable to watch. I'm so glad I got to sit down and watch that game. I'm glad the Buffalo Bills were beating the brakes off the Broncos by that point so I could switch over and watch it. But at the same time, this is fun. I'm having fun watching Red Wings hockey again, and it's been a while since I can say that, and I know 99% of the fan base can agree with that statement. We're having fun again, and the guys are having fun. Look at the players. They're having so much fun on the ice together out there, and you're not seeing just the sad, depressed Dylan Larkins anymore. You're seeing him have a good old time out there. He's smiling, having fun. He's scoring at a great rate too, playing extremely well. His power play production is just freaking unreal. And the team's power play production, that's going to be a topic of conversation for the Grand Rapids Griffins here as we get into this episode. But the power play overall, every time they step on the ice now, I'm just waiting for the goal. It's insane. Yes, Nick.
So Columbus was 16-17 when we played them. They just went on a 4-game winning streak. So they were below 500 when we played them.
Either way,
that's where my number is coming from. At
the same time, they're still a good team. It's the National Hockey League. All teams are good teams, whether there's a winning record or losing record. They're all good teams. Winning a game in the National Hockey League, in the American Hockey League, in the ECHL, it's a tough task, no matter who you're up against. But at the same time, the Wings are having fun while they're doing it, and they're doing it and scoring at a rate we have not seen all season long. I think their goal differential is down to -12 now, and it was significantly higher 7 or 8 games ago. So I'm happy to see that.
I want to throw in one point.
Yeah.
So a couple of my friends asked me, they're like, what are your thoughts on this? And I'm like, don't talk to me about the Red Wings until the Four Nations pause. Like, give Todd at least a quarter pole, like a quarter of the season, then we can talk. Now, if he's still at like a ungodly points percentage, then yeah, you can start to talk about it. But like, look, they just closed the gap so much in 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, this is the problem. You were so far in the hole that you've now gone on this insane run. You have to almost keep this pace up just to keep with it. Like, you now had, like, it was even said, like, when they took over and I think they won like the first 3 in a row, like somebody I think put on Twitter, like, in order to get to like a 92-point pace, they're going to have to play like almost 700 hockey the rest of the way. I'm sorry, but I still don't think they're a 700 points percentage team. Like, you might think I'm crazy because they've won 7 in a row, but they're about to run a serious gauntlet. Like, I don't care what anybody says. They've never played that great in Tampa or Florida in the past. I know Newsy had a pretty good record against Tampa, but if you look at body of work for the last 8-9 years, Tampa's been a struggle. Florida's been a struggle. In Dallas is always a nightmare, it seems like. Philadelphia, they suck in Philadelphia. That's just public knowledge. You can go back and look at the last like 4 years. They seemingly always lose in Philly. Look at what happened. Montreal's tough with them. Even like last year, they had the Sharks in town, and I think they were up like 4-0 in that game and blew that and then lost, if I recall correctly. It was at home, and I think they
won that in overtime. I was there.
Okay, well, either way, they blew a huge lead. Like, there's no game in the NHL that's a guaranteed win anymore. I don't care what anybody says. Look at what the Sharks are. The Sharks are they're playing teams tough, and your track record with some of these teams. Talk to me at the break. You got to go to Edmonton. You got to go to Calgary. You got to go to Vancouver and Seattle. That West Coast trip is not tough. Or not easy, I'm sorry.
And you got to look at what the other teams in the division and the conference are doing too. I mean, like, everyone that's already in those spots per se right now, they're playing at the same level. They're not dropping or getting better. Then you've got other teams chasing that wild card spot that are doing well. Yeah, we're 7-3 in the last 10. Columbus is 7-2-1. Montreal is 7-2-1. Like, there's teams in that mix that are still performing just as good as us. So we're not pulling away from them. We're just staying right where we're at. But the division itself, or that battle itself, is just getting closer, and it's just going to be another heart attack end of season moment probably for us. Let's be real. Like, that's just what they're setting us up for. The Lions are no longer the cardiac cats. You got the cardiac wings over here for at least this season, probably again.
It's a great start. They've got themselves in it. Can they sustain it? And honestly, the biggest thing for me that I told a few friends was like, look, if they want to make the playoffs, they need Patrick Kane to be Patrick Kane of the MVP seasons. And under Todd McCallum, he's kind of done that. So he's kind of brought Showtime back to Detroit. So you got to stay on that pace. But the other thing I want to point out too, real quick before we move on, is like, look, this can't be the same 4 or 5 guys every night. You cannot have Raymond, DeBrincat, Kane, and Larkin scoring all the goals. At some point, you got to have some of these other guys chipping in. Whether it's Casper, 4 points in the last 2 games since being moved up. You need to get Tarasenko going somehow. I know it's not going to be the 30-goal campaign from Tarasenko like it was when he was with the Blues in his prime, but you need him to be more offensively. You need Berggren to keep going. Like, he's starting to kind of get it a little bit. Need him to take another step. You need that depth scoring to show up some more, because it's not sustainable if 5 guys are scoring all your goals. I'm sorry, it's just not.
You need Rasmussen to go on one of those little streaks where he just gets a bunch of those dirty, ugly goals, and you're just like, oh, where'd these come from? That's what they need. But it is fun, and either way you look at it, it's a foundation, right? Todd's building a foundation, and whether we make the playoffs or miss the playoffs this year, that's one thing. But when you look at the amount of young prospects that this team has and the systems that are in place, it's a foundation that the young kids are going to get their chance to shine, which we weren't seeing there towards the end. And I think that's what a lot of people started to get frustrated with Jeff Blashill near his end of his 10 years. You just didn't see the young guys getting the opportunity and utilized correctly. And I think every coach near their end, or where they're in a streak like Newsy was, they kind of just default to that same play style and thinking of how they want to approach the lineup. But Todd's just a breath of fresh air for the team and the fans, and there's a good foundation for what the future could bring. So it's fun again. It's fun again. Hockey's fun again in Detroit. They are playing effing hockey. Let's be real. But that is enough Red Wings talk since we're not a Red Wings podcast. Let's move back over to the AHL here and talk about the Grand Rapids Griffins. Let's talk about news and updates around the team in the AHL real quick. One big piece of news that was announced over the weekend is that next year's All-Star Game is going to be in Rockford, Illinois, which is kind of exciting for us because that's close by. It's not booking flights to California to go to the All-Star Game like this year. Nice if the schedule leading up to the All-Star Game is like it is this year too, where it's complete chaos and the teams play right up to the day before the All-Star Game. So I know we're already talking about making the trip down there and spending some time in Rockford. A lot of people are like, why is this in Rockford after being in California? Rockford's got a nice barn, and everything we've heard about the environment there is a lot of fun. But it is an interesting step from Coachella Valley to Rockford, Illinois. But at the same time, good for them, and it's nice and close for us. So I know we're excited about that. I know, Nick, you're going to probably make a whole weekend out of it through Chicago and Rockford there.
Gonna try. I mean, it's I don't know why the AHL does this, but they schedule for like a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Wednesday, Thursday. So it's like the middle of the week. It's just odd timing. I wish they'd do it differently, but I mean, I've got some ideas, and that sounded pretty good in the group chat that we had. But yeah, I think we're gonna take like the Sunday or Monday off, and maybe the Thursday. So go down there and spend some time in Chicago. It's nice that it's close. That's the biggest thing, is that it doesn't take us too long to get down to Rockford. I saw a tweet and I couldn't find it afterwards, what I told you guys, but they wanted it in the central location for media to go to. So
and then they make it weekdays. That's so smart.
And then because they know most people, don't have second jobs. They just get paid pretty good to cover a team in the AHL.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So
yeah, we could go into the
knows?
fumble of this for the AHL for a while, but that would derail the entire episode. But scheduling and planning for this, I give them a D-. Like, this is terrible. Even thinking of this year's, it's a Sunday, Monday. Like, why? Make it a Friday, Saturday. Is it arena costs and availability for I don't know, but the league's got to really think. If they want to put more people in seats in the AHL, you gotta show the game off, and this is not how you do it. Making it a Tuesday, Wednesday All-Star Classic. That's gross. But anyways. Outside of that, Griffins news and updates. William Lagesson still with Detroit, obviously with Jeff Petrie's injury. We don't know when he'll be back, but we definitely do miss him down here. And other news on the injury front in Grand Rapids, Carter Mazur did officially participate in contact drills in practice. Coach Watson said he looked good out there. It's still no official timetable for him, but did say that he looked good. And Ammo, no update on him still. He is scheduled to skate in the Great Skate, which we'll talk about near the end of the episode. So maybe see him on the ice out there at least. So that might maybe give some indication that he might be skating. Cool, awesome. But again, we can't assume, we can't read into it. But that's the only news and updates that we have specifically there.
And we did get an update that they're not living together this year.
Oh, yes. We talked about that in the last episode, wondering if Ammo and Mazur were living together this year. They are not, but we were told that Ammo does host a lot of the guys for his food. So that's not a surprise at all. So yeah, that's a fun update there. But let's move on to the games this weekend. We had 2 games, both against the Manitoba Moose at home this weekend to kick off this 5-game homestand for the Griffins. And I think we might have said it last episode on air. We might have said it off air. These are either going to be great games or they were trap games. That's usually the way Nick and I kind of analyze these games going into it, especially with the last place team in the division coming to town. And oh boy, were they trap games. The Manitoba Moose kind of had their way with Grand Rapids here. So we'll talk about Friday night first. This one, the Griffins end up losing this one 3-2, unfortunately. Goal scoring in this one, Manitoba kicked off the action with another. They have a Griffin killer on their team. Let's be real here. A few teams in the league have one, and when they have one, we're usually talking about him in an episode, and that's Nikita Chiprikov. In this one, he got his 7th of the season 5 minutes into the game. Grand Rapids did answer in the first period to tie it up before the end. Gabriel Seeger gets his 6th of the season from Shai Buyum and Elmer Soderblom. A nice shot from the point from Buyum, and Seeger just happened to be right place, right time, and tipped it in. We asked him after the game, walk us to that goal, and didn't do much. Kind of lucky is the way he phrased it. But at the same time, he's got his 6th of the season and is really kind of finding his way on this team. Going the second period here, Manitoba adds another goal there. Susi, whatever your name is, I don't care, you're a Moose. Gets power play goal in this one here. Griffins do answer to tie it up before the end of the second there. Elmer Soderblom with his 3rd of the season, a nice rip from the top of the face-off circle, and again, we just continue to see the shots and skill come from this guy. It's just not consistently coming, unfortunately, finding the back of the net. But every time we see that shot release, we just go, oh, he does have it in there. It's there. Gabriel Seeger got the assist on that, making it a 2-point game for him in this one. Third period comes around. Again, on the power play, the Moose capitalize here. King scores his 5th of the season. Chipperkoff with an assist on this one as well. And that's all she wrote with this game. Sebastian Kosa got the start. Stopped 26 of 29 shots in this one. Griffins power play 0 for 3. And Moose went 2 for 5 on theirs. So we asked Coach Watson kind of what happened after this game, and he mentioned they won the special teams battle, and they definitely did. 2 power play goals on this team that has a relatively decent penalty kill. As of late, it's kind of starting to slip, but the special teams battle when this one was lost, I don't want to dive too far into the special teams battle on this one because I really want to talk about that with Saturday's game. So let's talk about the first guy here, Seeger. I mean, again, the goal, right place, right time, tips in a nice shot from Shai Buyan. We love seeing those shots from him at the point, but Seeger's really found his way in the American Hockey League, especially over these past 10, 15 games. Travis, I know you got to see a glimpse of him in Toledo before he was called up, but what do you just make of seeing him really find his way, especially being a late addition to the team? One of those college signings right before training camp, one of those guys that we saw in training camp going, this guy's going to be special. Then he ends up in Toledo to start, but he seems to have found it.
Yeah, he scores a lot of his goals right in front of the net, which I'll get into later.
Yep.
I do like, seems like, and again, I'm kind of going on limited information because I didn't get to watch any games until Sunday. But I think the biggest thing with him is confidence. Like, you're starting to see it grow, and when you're in the right place and things are happening well for you, you're just going to continue to put yourself in them places. Like, you just got to keep doing what you're doing. He's doing a lot of really good things from what it seems like. Not getting to watch every game like you guys are. I'm trying. But you could see why he got called up so quickly from Toledo. Definitely sucked because I loved the size that he provided Toledo. But you could tell right away, like, him and Banel together, that 1 or 2 games they were together was just like, okay, this isn't gonna last down here. Like,
yeah, no.
And then Hunter came down. It's like, okay, all the big guys that come from Grand Rapids to Toledo just kind of play so well, and it makes sense why they're in the American League.
Yeah, it really does. And, for us, we just like seeing this, a guy that comes in kind of out of the blue and you're like, what's this guy going to bring to the table? When you start seeing production, I mean, he uses his size all the time. He's not a big hitter, but when he does throw them, they're good hits, but he's able to use his size to keep the puck on his stick and be good with possession. And that takes a lot in the American League, especially to be as young as he is to figure that out and start to figure it out more consistently. It's a really good sign for the Griffins on the depth side of things. But Nick, just like, what did you see from Seeger in this game that kind of stood out to you?
I mean, I'm stoked to see him getting some points. I mean, we need that depth scoring, and it's going to come from him because our top guys right now are just they're going through it. I don't know if it's just the other team is shutting these guys down. They're keying in on them. So we need those gritty goals. We need those dirty goals. Like exactly what Waddy said after the game the other night is we have to find a way. And he's been sitting up front of the net, just something hitting off of him, going in. Like that's what we need. So, I mean, I'm not super surprised that he's doing well because he played really well in college. So, I mean, I kind of put him at that 3rd or 4th line. And it'll be interesting to see, like, when Ammo does come back, like, where does this guy now fall, in the lineup? So does he earn a spot? Does he stay up here? Who knows? He might be back down there with you, Travis. I don't know.
No.
I have a feeling when Ammo and Carter come back, there's going to be pretty much half of an episode dedicated to who goes where here. Because I think the team's made it pretty clear that they don't like to sit guys either. I mean, we've seen years where the Griffins have, 9 or 10 scratches in a game, and you're like, whoa, now we got 4 plus 2 of them are injured. So really only 2, maybe 3 scratches a game. And there's guys down in Toledo that are contracted Griffins players that are playing. And that's good. That's what we want to see. We don't want to see them sitting in the press box or wherever they're sitting in a game to watch it. Like, I want them playing. But moving on from Seeger there, the one thing that Waddy pointed out after the game when we talked to him is every time they have a long break, they come out of it with low energy. And it's one of the most noticeable things. Even every single time these guys get a full week off, they come back and they just look gassed for some reason, even after those days off. Now we see the practice schedule, we know what it is, and let's be real, they rarely get days off, and we know their schedule going into the Christmas break was insane. Their travel schedule, practice schedule, everything, even post game commitments and off ice commitments with fans, like they were always doing something. And I look ahead to the schedule with the Great Skate coming up, and I just go, oh God, here we go again. Their schedule is just insane. But at the same time, like, how does a team not come out of a break looking this flat? Because Friday, they just had no pep in their step. There was zero energy. The Moose had great energy on their bench. The vibes were good. The guys were all into it. And the Griffins just all looked like, meh, why I don't want to be here is kind of the vibe that it put off from being that far up watching the game from the press box, obviously. What does a team have to do, though, to not have this issue? Are they practicing too much? Are the practices too tough? Like, what is it?
I don't know, because like the other thing too, like we didn't mention this, is that they went 11-7, so like they threw out, a little bit of a different lineup, a different look. This is the same lineup. Well, they went 11-7 in the other two games they played against the Moose too. So you would think like usually when they do that, they come out a little bit faster, they come out a little bit stronger, like they're going to the boards harder. But like you said, like they played so flat. Like I was just like, they're just going through the motions. They like literally they played down to the Moose's level. Like that's they saw the stats. They were like, all right, we're gonna get one somewhere from somebody tonight, and let's go through the game. Like that's how it looked, I guess, for both games to me. They did switch it up the second game. They went, their traditional lineup, but
yeah, I wanted to ask Waddy after the game Saturday. I just didn't know how to phrase it without it sounding awful. But like, are these the games, especially in this league, in this division specifically, that kind of prove the standings don't matter until it comes to playoff time. Like every team is going to be a battle either way, and you've got to come into it thinking you're playing the top team. Even when you are the top team in the division, you've got to treat each opponent like they are right behind you or right on your heels. And I know that's tough to do, especially in consecutive games. You can't be perfect every game, but just because they're a last place team, you can't come in with that kind of energy. And if that's I don't believe that's the reason why they had no energy. Like you can't have that mindset as a professional player. Like there's no way. And if that was allowed to be the mindset going into it, I've got more questions down the road. And I assure you that it's not the mindset. We know the guys hate losing. Like we saw one of the players in the locker room after the game, and I don't think he left his spot in his stall until the second interview was done that night. And he just sat there in silence looking pissed. And, again, the boys they hate to lose, guys. I hate saying that every single episode, but the boys do hate to lose. And losing to that team, I know it didn't sit right with them. And I know, Nick, after seeing that, you and I anticipated a completely different Saturday night, but we'll get into that. It wasn't much different. But any other final thoughts from either of you just to wrap up this game before we hit the ad break so we can jump into Saturday's game?
Yeah, so you got to watch the Cleveland games where they won 5-1 both nights, right?
Yep.
Was this the same team?
No.
So that's what I was saying. Like they played up.
There was a swagger missing.
Yeah, like they played up too because they knew Cleveland was a tough team. They knew Cleveland was going to be a rough, like they're a top team in their division. It's been a nice little rivalry for us that's an out of division team. But they went out there and they put belts to butts, right? Like that's the saying we have now here in Michigan. And then they see the Moose, and it's just like, they even back in October, I checked those scores. It was 1-0, and was it 1-0 and 2-1 wins.
I still don't think I don't think they're approaching it with that mindset. Like again, even Waddy said after the first game, they had a good start, right? The start was good. They came out decent enough for the start of a game after a break. I think they allowed frustration to set in way too early because the puck was not bouncing their way. They were missing a lot of shots. They were hitting posts. They're missing the net. Shots were getting blocked left and right. Let's be real here. Manitoba, a solid shot blocking team. They were putting their body on the line left and right. And it allowed the Griffins to get frustrated and make some mistakes. And, you saw moments in the game where they tried to get that spark back. Josiah Didier dropping the gloves there in the second period, trying to get a spark going with the team as he usually tries to do when they're down. But it just didn't go at that point. They were frustrated. The Moose came in with an excellent game plan and knew exactly how to play this team. They were quick in the transition. They were great on defense, and that's what killed us in this one. I still don't think it was the mindset of, oh, it's the last place team, we've got an easy ride tonight, because I just don't want to. I can't talk that down on this team. Like, again, they're having a great season, so I can't be like, yeah, they came into this thinking it was easy. And if it was, and boys, you're listening, no, bad move. But at the same time, I think frustration set in quickly. Because let's be real, that first goal, that Chibrikov goal, nothing Kosa could do on that one. This was not a bad Kosa game. There was a lot of weird goals. Two of the goals were deflected shots that came out from the point on the power play. The Chibrikov goal, a great heads up play by Manitoba there, where Lucius just passes the puck out front, where Chibrikov's wide open on the opposite side of the net from him, and Chibrikov does not miss from there. If you give him that time, that space, he's going to find space no matter how giant your goaltender is. And Kosa was already down going from post to post, and Chibrikov buried it over his shoulder. And there's nothing you can do about that as a goaltender. Like, that heads up play from behind the net should have been shut down by the guys covering those guys, and it just wasn't. So, yeah, frustration set in quickly for the Griffins in this one, and that's what I'll write this one off to. You hope they burn the tape from this weekend and move on, but I don't think you can, because there's a lot of learning experiences from this game that they could use with the schedule they have coming up. But we're going to hit the ad break. When we come back, we'll recap Saturday's game, answer some listener questions, plus some more. So stay tuned for that. But first, quick ad break. The 24-25 NHL season still has that new car smell, and the action is heating up at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. It's super easy for first-timers to get started at DraftKings Sportsbook. Try betting on something simple, like picking a team to win. And if you're new to DraftKings, listen up. New customers bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ice.
And welcome back. All right, let's dive into this Saturday game. Again, like we said, against the Manitoba Moose with these back-to-back games. And like we had said, we thought after the talk in the locker room after the game and just seeing the frustration from the Griffins, we thought this team might look a lot different coming out into this game on Saturday. And no, they didn't. The only difference was who was in goal. And let's start with just talking about Jack Campbell in this one, because Jack Campbell is not the reason this Griffins team lost this game. I'm just going to start with this before I even recap the game. Jack Campbell played an incredible game, putting up incredible numbers so far over 5 games as a Griffin. I know, Trav, you read them off earlier. I don't know if you still have those handy.
I do.
What was it? Where's he at?
Currently 5 games played, a 2-3 record, but a 1.82 goals against average and a 932 save percentage.
And wins and losses are not a goalie stat, and I will die on that hill. So, yeah, Jack putting up incredible numbers so far as a Griffin here. And the team just didn't give him any goal support in this game, and that's something that'll dominate a lot of the conversation for the second half of this episode. So, like I said, the Griffins dropped this one 1-0. It was on a goal within the last minute of the third period on the power play by the Moose, of course, by Nikita Chibrikov, because who else would score that goal? Nate Danielson takes a tripping penalty in the last minute of the game after taking a puck which looked like to the ear, kind of looked a little dazed from that, and I don't know if it was just an emotional move or whatever, just made a bad play for the puck and ends up taking a Moose player down and puts them on the power play, and it was a power play that killed them the night before. And at this point in the game, they had gone 0 for 2 on the power play, the Moose had, and give them one more, and they capitalized. So Griffins drop this one 1-0. They get outshot by Manitoba 27-26. Griffins power play goes 0 for 5, and the Moose go 1 for 3. So just some storylines in this one before we talk about the scoring and everything in this game. Like I said, obviously Jack Campbell, great game from him. Other things that were notable in this game, Josiah Didier in the first period makes a terrible decision, ends up hitting a guy from behind, takes a boarding penalty, drops the gloves after that because he knew he'd have to answer for it. Luckily, the Griffins were able to kill off that penalty, but I know I looked at you, Nick, right away. I was like, wow, like you make a decision like that after this team killed you guys in the power play last night, and this is where we're at. Just a dumb decision. I, again, don't really know what was going through his head on that one. I know the guy kind of turned at the end of the play, and that's how he ended up facing the boards, but at the same time, just a bad hit. I know, Nick, you and I both were just like, that was dumb.
It was nasty. I could, like, I saw it lining up, and I'm like, and I didn't want to watch the highlight. Like, I think I clipped it, and I for us, for later, but It was nasty. This was overall just a disgusting game. I'll just say
Yeah,
that.
kind of from both
Yeah.
sides, honestly. Both sides were giving
gross.
it to each other pretty good. Not in a good way.
Yeah, it was a gross.
And then in the second period here, former Flint Firebird, you got to mention because we talked a lot about him and his season there. We were covering Amadeus Lombardi down there, but Dmitry Kuzmin, who is not a tall guy, but manages to somehow check Elmer Soderblom in the head. And Elmer goes down. Kuzmin does get called for this, but I think my gripe with this, and I think you and I both agreed, Nick, at the time, there was zero response from the team once that happened. Like the tallest guy, maybe in the AHL, laying face first on the ice after taking a check to the head, and there was nothing. Not after the play, which after the play, sure, he's down. You want to make sure your teammate's okay. There was no response from that for the rest of the game. I assumed somebody on this team was going to go out there and stir it up a little bit. Maybe it was told, hey, don't respond. This is a close game. We can't go take a stupid penalty. I can only assume that was the message there. But at the same time, you don't like seeing no response from that. I don't know, Trav, if you agree with me on this take or not.
Without seeing what happened, it's hard to judge an opinion. Obviously, if a guy's down, you'd like to see that. But at the end of the day, it's just kind of like until I didn't get to see it, so I can't really give you a whole lot here.
Just picture a dirty check to the head. That's
well, at that point, yeah, you kind of hope something would happen. But again, like you said, could have been a message sent. Hey, don't be the guy that takes the extra penalty, because I'm guessing at that point it was still 0-0.
It was, yes.
Yeah,
It was in the second period.
Okay, so you don't want to be the guy that takes a penalty that ends up giving you up a power play goal. Like,
I mean, if you're gonna do it in the second period.
That's also true. For a team that, like Dan Watson said at the beginning of the season, he wants these guys to fight. He wants them to go out there and play this rough and tough style. And to see no response, again, it goes back to the first game of the weekend where we talked no energy. That's kind of a moment in the game where I felt like the tables could have turned a little, if somebody goes out there and drops the gloves. Now, I don't remember who was on the ice specifically at that time on that line. I know it wasn't Austin Watson, and I know immediately a fan thinks, well, why didn't Waddy go beat the brakes off somebody? He probably wanted to. Let's be real. He usually does when he sees a teammate get checked. He usually tries to respond like that. But I can think of a few games recently. Like I've seen Nate take a pretty rough hit here and there and just kind of no response from it. I think that was the Milwaukee game. If I remember right, their most recent game against Milwaukee, Nate took a good hit and there was just nothing. And you don't like to see that. It's not me questioning what's going on with the team or anything like that, but you do want to see a response. In the second period, maybe if you were told, hey, don't go take that penalty, I kind of agree with Nick there. It's the second period. You might need to take it and just get the boys going and get that energy back on your side. Because again, in this game, Manitoba had all the momentum pretty much for the whole game. All the energy was on their side.
And I'll say this too is like right before, it was probably like 5 minutes before this penalty, Vero tripped a guy, and it was bad. It was
really bad.
It was really bad, and the guy went face forward into the boards, and everybody started taking out trying to get Vero, and you had two Griffin guys come in, take those guys out, and to protect Vero, and then 5 minutes later, you see Elmer take this hit, and he's just laying on the ice, and play just continues. Nobody did anything. And that's where I had the issue with it, is because, they all just stuck up for Vero, and then they turned around and just let Elmer lay there. And that's where I was like, what is going on here? I don't know. There needed to be something. There needed to be some sort of reaction. There needed to be some emotion, because it just, again, game two, it was just dirty. There was a lot of gross hits. There was a lot of dirty play. And it was a lot of stoppage. I felt like it was the longest game that I've watched in a long time, because I hated this game. And this is probably the game that you burn the tapes on, to be honest, because you just couldn't get anything going either, based off of the way they were playing.
The only tape you save from this one is all of Jack Campbell's great saves.
And
honestly.
Kosas.
And Kosa's glove save on the bench. Yeah, protecting Austin Watson's head. But at the same time, yeah, I don't know. Again, I'm not in the room. I don't send those messages, but from the fan perspective and not the analysis side, yeah, go beat the brakes off of Kuzmin. Sorry. That's just what I want to see at that point. And maybe I'm wrong for saying that, and fans can correct me in the comments, but you see a prospect, you see a guy who's valued in this team. Everyone loves Elmer, or Elmo, as they all call him. You just assume somebody, whether they're a fighter or not, is going to go cause some chaos. Even a scrum, you don't have to beat the brakes off them. Go cause a scrum. Send the message. But at the same time, I don't know. This game was all over the place. And like you said, Nick, there was a lot of dirty hits, a lot of questionable play. Like I know I don't remember which Griffin it was that got hit near the Manitoba bench, but was kind of bent over the bench, and definitely saw a good swing from a Manitoba player on the bench towards that Griffins player. The camera didn't cut it, so we couldn't clip it and post it. But just like stuff like that, like the annoying stuff when you're a fan, you're sitting back, you're going, ref, how did you not catch that happening? And then we end up losing the game on Nate Danielson's mistake here, which I can't chastise the kid for. You know, he made a mistake and he's going to learn from it at the same time. But you can't take a penalty, especially a tripping penalty like that. I don't know if you're dazed from the puck hitting your head. Sure, that's fine. Maybe don't go for that play. The guy was just breaking down the side boards there. It's not like he was breaking down the slot in the ice and you're trying to take him out on a breakaway. It was really kind of a low danger chance that he took him down on. So yeah, he'll learn a lot from that. I'm sure he feels bad for it, but
I got a question about that.
Yeah.
So I watched it back before we got on to record, and the biggest thing I couldn't tell, like the camera angle shifted from the regular view to the like in the corner.
Yeah, I hate it.
When it switched, it looked like he like tapped the guy on the hands and then he just fell down. Like it.
No, he caught his skate right before.
Okay.
Or after, either right before or right after. But he did catch his skate. Now, it was just a little tap. It definitely was a little bit of a sell job for sure. They knew what they were doing.
Like, because it looked almost innocent just in the way that the camera angle shifted. It's like, it looked like he barely touched him. And I figured you guys being there, you could give a little bit more.
He barely touched him.
Well, I figured, like, from your guys' perspective,
bad call from the ref.
You're going to see it a little better than I probably can with two different views trying to sync them up together.
Yeah, no, for sure. And let's be real. Like, we can joke about it being a bad call from a ref, but making that call then and there at that time, it's like there was so much let go in this game that you decide to call that in the last minute there. Again, a low danger opportunity. It's not like it was a scoring chance or anything. It's just questionable game management. And I'm known in this show for going in on referees, and I won't, because I'm pretty sure one of them was honored that night before the game anyways for, I don't remember what the award was from the AHL, but I won't go in on them in this one tonight. But, you know, just the only other thing I could call out officiating wise, and we saw it in both games, and this is something, Nick, that you mentioned after covering the Milwaukee game, is a situation where the puck is either under the goalie or near the goalie and everyone's pushing away at it. And the Griffins have two of those this weekend, one Friday and one Saturday, both disallowed goals. The puck did cross the line, but no goal. And it's the same thing we saw Milwaukee get credited with a goal that ended up winning them the game against us. And you're just kind of sitting here going, why do they hate us? So those were two moments I wasn't going to bring up because I didn't want to go in on officials, but it happened again in back-to-back games. So there's that.
The one on Saturday, I didn't feel like there was.
It crossed the line. The replay on the board showed it crossed the line.
Before
the whistle, I should say. Before the whistle. There
was a lot of time delay between the ref blowing the whistle and seeing the puck, I guess you could say. Like, the puck was shot, and the goalie had it somewhere. And then there was just a long delay for them calling the whistle, blowing the play dead. So it was just like, that was kind of an odd one where I was like, they should have called it sooner. But the one in Milwaukee, I was mad because like that was the game-winning goal. Like Milwaukee did that to us. I think it was Milwaukee did that to us, and that's how we lost. We lost by one goal, and it was that. Or no, we had it. We had scored, and we didn't challenge. And I'm like, I don't understand.
There is no challenges in the AHL.
Oh, yeah,
we told you that.
Yeah.
But like you bringing up the delay in the call, like I think back to Friday's game where I think it was Dries takes that double minor for high sticking on the faceoff, and that faceoff happened and play went on for a good 30 seconds before the ref finally goes hand up. Like he didn't call it off the draw. The guy was kind of laying there, and then he got up and he saw blood. Then he decided to raise his hand. Like yeah, I'm not going to go on the official rant. I can't. It's too early in the season for that.
Well, that one was a fun one though, because then Manitoba then put too many men on the ice, and
negated half of the penalty at least. Yeah, that was Manitoba does everything during this delayed call to keep possession of the puck and ends up taking it too many men. I think we looked at the guys next to us and we're like, oh, that's a new one for me. That was dumb. Like, turn the puck over, get on the power play. What are you doing? You saw blood. You're getting 4 minutes of a power play here. Wrap it up. And thank God they didn't, actually, thinking back to that, because that probably could have gotten even uglier that night for us. But enough about officials. The biggest takeaway here from the weekend was the special teams battle, right? We asked Coach Watson after the game Friday, and he's mentioned that they had lost the special teams battle. The response Saturday was not a response to losing the special teams battle Friday night. They went and lost the special teams battle again in a big way. 0 for 5 in the power play. You cannot miss that many opportunities out there in a game that ends up being a 1-0 loss. Like, going 1 for 5 changes this whole game. And they failed to convert again. And now the power play is back to being inconsistent, underperforming, and sitting 16%, I think, overall right now. But this is kind of what we were seeing at the start of the season. And then the power play got hot and the power play got cold and it got warm again. And now it's ice cold again. Travis, I know you want to go into this special teams talk here. You specifically were asking some questions around this power play. What are your thoughts? What do you got?
I'm going to start by saying this. A couple weeks ago, we talked about, like, could the Griffins win the Calder Cup? With this kind of special teams play, they probably won't make it out of the first round. Just brutally honest. Like, you can't operate at 16.4% and expect to do great things. Like, you got to be into the 20s. Like, it's just a reality of the situation. And, like, I'm just going to be honest. Looking at it right here, 5 for 34 in your last 10 games, 14%. That's not good enough. And I bet if you ask every coach in that room and every player in that room, they're going to tell you the same thing. Like, look, we got to figure out the power play. That is how you win games. It's your special teams have to win you games some nights. And if you have an elite power play, it can make up for so many other things that's missing. Like, it's just, you can't operate at 14%. It's just not going to, it's not going to do you any favors. I think we're not going to get free
chili out of that.
Well, that's Toledo, and that's a different statistic, but like they're second in the league, I think. And it's funny because like Waddy had such a good power play in Toledo, and then now it's just like, what's missing? And is the style of what they're trying to do a part of the problem? You look at their two units. They had Dries, Danielson, Snively, William, Shine. Smaller skill group. Where's your net front presence? Like, and then you go to their second unit, Gettinger, Watson, Soderblom, Hanas, Tuo. All size. Like, I get that, Watson's a top point performer on the team, but like, and Cross was a second round pick, Tuo a second round pick, but like at the same time, like, you gotta kind of redefine yourself, give yourself some sort of identity. And I look to a couple things that really stood out to me, and the first one was their first goal on Friday. Where was two guys parked right in front of the net? Hanas was standing right in front of the net, and Seeger tipped it in. Like, we got to get some net front presence. Like, and I don't think this team is set up to run a bumper. They don't have that guy with that lethal shot, like, from the middle of the ice that gets it off so quick. Like, they just don't have it.
Next year they will.
With who?
Either ASP or MBN.
Okay, don't start.
Okay, neither one of them are destined for the bumper position. Let's just get that out of the way.
Good Lord.
I'd love to see a version, and this is the thing too, like, every power play is like copycat. Like, everybody kind of runs the same basic trend. Two flankers, a guy running the umbrella up top, guy net front, guy in the bumper. Like, that's just the way the league's gone. It's the way hockey's gone. I want to see, like, why would you break up your first line of Watson, Danielson, Snively? on the power play. Why would you break that up?
Because in the last 5 games they haven't put up any points.
But they are your most consistent point producing players. Like, and I don't think they're in a situation right now to where 4 guys, you don't need 4 forwards on the first unit. I would like to see Watson net front. I'd like to see Danielson on the right side flanker. I'd like to see 2-0 on the left side flanker, just because Danielson's passing ability to go across the ice to find that guy across the ice is next level. Bouillon running up top, and then you put Snively in your bumper position if that's what you're going to run. And just tell Watson, stand in front of the goaltender, take his eyes away, and pick up any loose change. Like, and your second unit, honestly, the way they're going right now, I would look at Seager in front of the net, because all of his goals seemingly get scored within 6 feet of the crease. Like, picking up rebounds, he's good at it. He's good at getting pucks on stick on a puck. Put him with Dries, Soderblom, Shine and Wally. Like, you gotta change something. Like, something's not working.
I mean, look, this is one full season of complaining about the power play, and now we're halfway through a season complaining about the power play. So this is 1.5 seasons of complaining about the power play. They lack creativity when coming up with a plan. Like, we're sitting here, Travis is giving us a plan that is completely different from what we're doing, and it sounds like something I'd be interested in seeing presented on the ice for at least a game with a couple power play opportunities in there. You know, early in the season, the excuse was we weren't getting a lot of opportunity in game situations for power play. Okay, well, we've had a ton of them now, and we're not seeing any creative changes. Like, that's what irritates me the most, and seeing guys like Cross Hanas playing up the ice or against the boards when I know he's money down below the net or around the net at getting the puck out into the slot when there's a scramble. He's money doing that. He can find guys out there. Nate's ability to find guys cross ice, like you said, is unbelievable. You got to have guys in front of the net. There's so many things they could try to do, but they continue just to saddle up and bring out the same story every single game and bring the same result. And I question coaching at that point. I really do. Like, it's the same result. Steph Julian's the assistant coach. Is in charge of the power play. Brian Lashoff runs the penalty kill. And, you know, the penalty kill has been good most of the season. They've had some slumps here and there, and I think they're in a slump right now, but it's usually corrected within 2 to 3 games, and you see them kind of get back to their pace. But the power play cannot be in a permanent slump when your penalty kill is going into in and out slumps. Like, that's just not how this works. It's not a recipe for success. There's got to be creativity. There's got to be some changes up there. Steph's got to hit that drawing board and go, let's just try this. If it's not perfect in practice, that's okay. Roll it out in in-game situations and see if it works. Like, you've got to try something new. We cannot keep doing the same thing over and over again. The only positive change they've made recently is giving Bouillon more opportunity on the power play, because at the blue line, he's fantastic. We saw near Christmas and after Christmas with Wallander on the power play, he was struggling to keep the puck in at the blue line. Like, either it was wrong place, wrong time, or the puck was hopping on him, or he couldn't settle it down. 2-0, no problem with him running a power play unit. 1, his shot's lethal, and 2, he makes great decision-making at the blue line. Those 2, you have your quarterback set. You got to figure out what else is going on around there, and I just need to see something different.
Put
you know, with
together.
their upcoming...
Put them together.
Yeah. I'd throw Wallander with one of them. I don't think I'd put them both together.
I'd put Wally with a second unit, and I'd put 2-0 on the left side flanker, because Bouillon can dish the puck, and Nate can dish the puck. That's where I'd put 2-0 on your left side flanker, Nate on your right side flanker, with Bouillon up top. Because if you run it from Nate on the right up to Bouillon over to 2-0, one-timer. Or you could go Bouillon to Nate, cross ice pass 2-0, one-timer. It's basically the Ovechkin, like a poor man's Ovechkin, because he has such a heavy shot. Like, and
Not
here's
wrong.
part of the thing I noticed too in the Cleveland game that I was at. Stop trying to pick corners and miss the net by 2.5 feet high. Like, it force the goaltender to make a save and crash the net for rebounds. Like, this is just easy. Like, make him play his position. If you're going to shoot it 2 feet high, what's the point in shooting the puck? I don't care if you shoot it on the ice. If it hits the pad and it's loose for a rebound and you got guys crashing the net, eventually one's going to go in. Like, somebody's going to get some loose change somewhere. Like, I just want them to, like, either work the cycle down low, work it out high, shot from the point, and just everybody crash the net. Like, or two guys crash the net. I hate the bumper.
Totally
it
agree.
drives me nuts. Like, I just hate it. And there's so many teams that aren't set up to run it, and it's horrible. I'm sorry, but this, like, power play and why everybody copies the same thing just drives me insane. When you don't have these guys that are good at doing them little things. Like, everybody's little thing they're good at is so much different. Like, there is so much size on this team. If you're going to run Gettinger, Watson, Soderblom, work the cycle down low. Like, you have got to work it down low and find a guy to get open in space, and that's when you find that guy in space. If you're going to put three of your bigger players on the ice, use their strength, which is down low in the corners, physical play. And if you're gonna put Dries, Danielson, Snively out there with Bouillon and Shine, I don't know why Nick's laughing so hard, but like, use the skill and speed to move around and open up the ice. Like, this isn't complicated.
It's really not.
So I'm laughing because this was an issue last year. And what did I say we needed to do? We needed to start down low. And what did we do? For like 3 or 4 games, we started down low and we were scoring on the power play. It fixed it. And then for whatever reason, they reverted back to this umbrella bumper flanker thing. So I'm like,
Drives me nuts.
so I'm like, why? Like, my thing is watching the games this weekend on the power play, they had trouble getting set up. That was a lot of it. It was wasting 30 to 45 seconds getting set up in the offensive zone. And then when they were, it was shots wide, shots post, shots wherever. Like even Waddy said, when we get the shots, they're usually off target. So for me, I keep saying we just need to cycle the puck down low and get it. Like that's where it is. Or I love the fact of like having the defenseman shooting from the point. And like I was screaming for Bouillon to shoot because he has a shot and he has the space. He has all the assists. I want to start seeing the goals go in. And I'm sure a few of those were his shot and it deflected off and went into somebody. Like
Usually.
I'm sure there was a few of those, so he probably have more goals. But
Look, I don't care who's scoring them, just score them. Jesus.
right, so like I'd rather see the defenseman pull up and get those shots, or work it down low again and looking for that backdoor option. But like,
Even if you work it down low, though, what you're doing is you're forcing the penalty kill box down. And
Yeah.
what is that doing? That's opening your flanks, opening your defenseman. You find that crease of that seam of open ice. You just got to get there and find it. Like, it's just, I'm just going to say it. They don't have Brandon Hawkins who can score from 65 feet one-on-one with the goaltender. They don't have anybody in that lineup doesn't have that shot. And Toledo's power play is a lot of pass the puck, and you'll see Hawkins kind of like make the loop. They give it to him, and he shoots it from the top of the circle as he's crashing in. They don't really have that guy. Like, I'm sorry, they don't. Like,
No, they don't.
They got to figure out
We even
something
saw a
else.
shot. We saw a shot this weekend that looked like a shot that he would have buried, but like someone trying it that doesn't have a shot like that. And I'm like, stop, why did you shoot it from there? What are you doing? But
Just make the goaltender play the position. Like, that was the thing that was driving me. I even said to my dad, I was like, good Lord, all these shots are like 5 feet high, 4 feet high. I was like, everybody's trying to pick corners. I'm like, just make the goalie make a damn save. And if there's a rebound, just crash the net. Like, holy Christ. Put a dude in front of the net. Put Elmer. Just have him stand there. Christ, he's 6'8". He's got great hands in tight. You've seen it in the World Juniors when he played with Sweden. Like, just, you have to try new things, but not if it doesn't work for a period, go away from it. Like, you have, like, look, it isn't going to get any better without trying new things, and 14% over 10 games and 5 for 34 ain't the answer. So until you try new elements and new wrinkles, I really think they need to start with it down low work it out and just crash the net and get that shot through. I think simplifying it would really help him.
This was every episode last year, I feel.
I'm sorry, but
It's just funny to watch Travis like go off because like we've had this talk before,
and we're having it again.
Yeah.
And that's what's so frustrating as a fan. And the good thing for us with this episode is the next topic was just gonna be where did the scoring go? Because like you look at those 2 Cleveland games where they had 10 goals in 2 games, and now they're just not scoring. You know, we asked Waddy about that, and he said, yeah, it's dried up. And you know, we do have a lot of shots that, like Nick said, he mentioned, that go wide. They hit a lot of posts. They miss a lot of nets. And you're just like, come on. But the scoring has dried up. The power play, getting that figured out, will help supplement that scoring. You can't guarantee that because you can't guarantee a game like that game where you had 5 opportunities and didn't convert on any. You might have a game where there's 1 power play. But even if there was just 1 in this game and they converted, it was a difference maker in a 1-0 loss. Like the defense is still doing their job. Defensively, they're good. The goalies are great, but at the same time, you've got to find scoring. And here's my hot topic for this one. And I know we talked about this, Nick, you and I at the game Friday or Saturday, whatever one it was. I understand we're trying to get Elmer going. Stop just passing it to him constantly. Like anytime he's open for a potential shot, or maybe even not open, we're feeding him the puck and he's just ripping it either 3 feet wide, 2 feet high, or hitting a post, or shooting it right into the goalie's chest. Like, we need to get other guys going. If he's not going to get going, move along. Like, let's try to get other guys going. Then we can revisit this project to get him back going. But you're feeding him the puck constantly. He's got 3 goals in the season. I understand what we're trying to do, but there's other guys with tons of scoring talent on this team, just like he does have the scoring talent. There's other guys that you could feed this puck to and get the scoring going.
I mean, I'm going to be real with you. They only have 3 guys with double-digit goals.
Oh, we know. We're very well aware.
Like, I'm just saying,
sucks.
like, it's so, like, I'm just going to say it, it's so bad. Like, you're 30 games into the year and you only have 3 guys with 10 goals. And you're 3 veterans. Now, granted, Ammo has only played 20 games and has been out a while. He's got 9, so you'd probably see him in the mid-teens by now with how well he was going. Like Carter Mazur's been hurt all year. You know he'd probably be double digits, pretty close to it. But that's where some other guys got to find their rhythm. Like like you see Elmer with 3.
He's 35th in the league for shots with 83. He leads the team with shots. He's up 6 on Shine.
Yeah, it's just like his shooting percentage has got to be horrible. Like just with how many shots he has to only have 3 goals. Like,
so one thing I'll say real quick to the double-digit goal scorers when it comes to the AHL, at least, like having the 2 guys or 3 guys be above. What'd you say? 3? There's 3 guys total.
3 guys with 10 goals or more.
Let's count Ammo.
So
4.
Ammo would have 10 by now.
Yeah.
Like,
sure, we'll say just because the statistics are there. There's 3 currently. The average, if you average it out in the league, is 2.375 players in the American Hockey League have 10 goals or more. There's 76 guys total that have 10 goals or more across the 32 teams. So in the AHL, that's not really that uncommon to see the lower goal scoring, honestly. So I'll give them a little bit of credit there. They're at or above the average if you want to average that out, but it's still not good. You want to have more, right? But it's not as bad on paper as that looks there.
But it's your fall off that's what's so concerning. Like,
yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like it's Shine, it's Dries, it's Snively. Okay, you could probably predict that in September, that those guys were going to be carrying the way. Watson's got 9 goals, 25 points in 33 games. What concerns me is like Doucette 4, Danielson 3, Soderblom 3, Rykovsky 3, Betcher has 1. Like
Hanas has 6.
Seager's got 6. Like,
there's nobody on this team that the injury of Amadeus Lombardi was hurt by more than Alexander Doucette and Cross Hanas.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that line was buzzing before he got hurt, and then he got hurt. And now they just haven't really been able to find stability in the lineup. I mean, look, we even saw Doucette out one of the games this weekend. Like that's just kind of how it is, and we're back to where he was right before that line really took off. So he needs him back big time, or just needs to figure out how to replicate what they had going on another line. Like I don't understand how a line of him and Betcher and Raklovsky doesn't just take off, because Betcher and Raklovsky, like even Saturday's game, we brought it up to coach after the game. Their chemistry is great. They had great opportunities in this game. They're doing a lot of the things right, and they're just missing that third piece to really support what they're doing. And you kind of hoped Deuce would be able to do that, but we haven't really seen much of that yet. And maybe it's just lack of opportunities. I had to go back through the lineup and see how many times they've been paired up together, but you want to see that those three kind of take off and give you that depth scoring from down there. I think that could be a feasible third line in the American League if they figure it out, but it is not right now.
So, I mean, if you look at the way this roster was constructed, I mean, we bring in Snively, who's a veteran. You bring in Dries, who's a veteran. You bring in Watson, who's a veteran. So you assume those three are going to score, right? They're going to put up some points. Then you're looking at the rest of this. Like, I don't remember how many Gettinger had, but you're hoping like Elmer's going to put up some points. You're hoping Nate Danielson's going to put up some points. You're hoping like Ammo was on such a streak, and like with Hanas and Doucette, like that line was buzzing. Even Elmer was playing somewhat decent when he was up there with Ammo. As soon as Ammo went out, the team's scoring has gone down. Like over this month, we were putting up consistently 4 to 5 goals a game, and then Cleveland was like a nice little bounce back, and then it drops. Like we haven't been able to put up the numbers. We haven't been able to put up the goals. You've got all these young guys in here, like Seager. This is his first year in the AHL. Betcher, first year in the AHL. Raklovsky, first year in the AHL. You know, Hanas played a little bit last year at the end of the college season, but first year. And these guys have all bounced back. Well, besides Raklovsky and Betcher, they've all bounced back and forth between Toledo. Hunter, Seager, and then we had Banto for a little bit as well. So, I mean, it's very top heavy. So it shouldn't be a surprise that these guys are carrying the team. And in the last 5, 6, 7 games, they've gone goalless. Like they've been shut down. They've gone scoreless. No points, no nothing. So we've got to figure out a way to get these young guys going. I'm surprised. Like Elmer's a surprise to me. Like he's been putting in the work. He's been putting up the shots. He just cannot buy a goal at this point. Like it's so weird to me.
Stop feeding him the one-timer and let him just rip it with a wrist shot. Like, let's be real. His wrist shot's nasty this year. Like, all 3 of his goals have been goals that we sit there and go, holy smokes, that was a ridiculous shot. But they keep setting him up for the 1T, and you're like, stop.
It's not a style.
That's not.
Yeah.
It's really not.
I mean, I think you would also expect more out of the defense, a little bit of scoring out of that, too. Like, between Vollinder and Tuo stepping up, this is their second to third year in the league. Like, we had so much scoring from Edvinsson. Like, we would literally give the puck to Edvinsson, and he would take it all the way to the end and put up a goal. Like, he would take over the games when they got close if he had to. And sometimes it bit us in the butt, like, taking those because they would turn over and they're back the other way. Or we had Albert scoring. And we even had Vero scoring a little bit last year, too. We're just not getting the goal support from the defense as well.
I'll correct you on that one. Edvinsson only had 5 goals last year.
Okay, who's leading on the defense for goals this year?
Lagesson.
With 3.
Yeah.
And he's up in Detroit right now.
I look
3.
I think your big story is you have 6 players at half a point per game or better.
They got to start scoring. They have to. They have to start scoring.
All I'm gonna say, because this could turn into an hour-long rant. The idea I pitched you guys in the group chat for the playoffs filters this so much more. And then you don't have to rely so much more on your depth.
Oh, I agree. 100%.
You need depth, though. The depth, the kids need to step up. And we're past Christmas at this point. Like, this is where we were starting a streak and everybody was starting to gel. And I don't feel like this team has gelled.
This is on
this goes interesting take for only the few games you've been at. So I'd say they're very well gelled. I just think they've gone cold.
I just think they're asking a lot of some of these guys. Like, if it were me, ideally, I'd have had Betcher in Toledo. I'd have had Raklovsky in Toledo to get their feet underneath them. I'd have had Seager start down here You said I could have.
Did he start down there?
Seager did start down here, but he's only here for 2 games. Like, I'm talking like some of these guys that are not jumping to the pro level, like Betcher, Rychlovsky. They're coming overseas. Rychlovsky's coming from overseas. I get he played pro over there. This is where starting guys down here and having them play at such a good level helps them when they get up there. It's no different than the jump from the American League to the NHL and why you should over-ripen guys.
Okay, so that's so many spots for us to fill.
Okay.
And I think you and I talked about it. Like, there's only so many contracts that they can sign, right? And so many
The
roster
Griffins can
spots that are
sign all
available.
kinds of guys.
Griffins can sign whoever they want. There is not a limit like there is in Toledo.
Right, but like, I don't know.
I just think they're asking a lot of some of these kids. Now, the one that really, I wish he could find it. Like, and when he finds it, I feel like it could happen is Cross. Like, if he could just start to score. Now, granted, it's hard to say, hey, go start scoring. I get that it's tough, but like, you're looking at your guys like Cross, Elmer. Those are the guys that you need to take that next step in their development, that they can score at this level. Like,
I agree with you.
They've got that. And that makes it a little easier on your Doucets, your Seegers, your Betchers, your Rychlovskys, your guys that are turning pro or come from overseas. There's not as pressure on them.
But the other point too is like nobody foresaw Mazer going out for almost a whole year.
I get that.
And Ammo being out for a whole month. So it's like those 2 big pieces and Casper being gone.
But that happens in this league.
They should have known. They should have had an idea that Marco was pretty close. They should have had an idea. Like that, I think you could have prepared a little better for.
Right, but he didn't make the roster opening night, so
he basically, he played 1 game. He basically did.
I was there. I interviewed him.
Did you?
The
There's no audio proof.
The audio somewhere. We're still looking for it. But if you think about that, though, it's like you've got, like, Seager wouldn't be on this team if you had Marco and Ammo, right? Because then you've got 4 deep. Like, we didn't have him pegged even in the projected lineup. With Mazer's there, you don't probably have Rychlovsky. Gadger didn't start because he was injured. He was nursing that injury from the beginning of the year. So, like, there's a few people that would have dropped if we were fully healthy. But we got to make do with what we have. And, Betcher's a Red Wing signing, and Rychlovsky was a Red Wing signing as well, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So,
that's where I think, your Toledo, like, just, I get that the injuries happen and guys get called up, but, like, if it were me, this is just me, Finney would have started in Toledo because he's getting pro games. Like, you're starting that next trend of development. Like, Finney would have started here, Rychlovsky, like, some of these guys that are, like, fringe, like, playing on the 4th line, I don't know.
They would have if we had the bodies.
The injuries have hurt them.
Yeah, it's hurt, but you had to be prepared for that at this level. Like, there's no excuse. That's not an excuse. You can't use it as an excuse, and the team can't use it as an excuse, especially with the talent that's on the team. Look, my last thing I'll add to this is the one roster change that I think needs to happen, and I know it's been a pairing together all season long. At this point, if you're not getting scoring, you've got to split Nate and Watson up. Like, you've got to give another guy an opportunity on that first line. If you're going to run Nate as a first line center, you've got to give another guy a chance up there. I know Watson's out there to be the protector and all this, and he also has the scoring upside too. But I think you've got to change it up. You've got to give somebody else that opportunity. I mean, I know because I still like Dries and Snively being separated because I think that was good depth for the team. Look, you're in a scoring drought and you got to get a couple guys going. It's a hot take, but I think you got to put Hanas on that first line for a couple games and see what happens. See if you can get him going. Have Nate setting him up. He's got a great shot. I think you've got to try to see what can happen there.
With who? With who on the right?
I think you still leave Snively, Danielson, and you put Cross up there too.
So you're gonna put 2 lefties up there?
Why not?
No,
I mean,
Cross is on the right for the last game.
Yeah, but he's
Cross
a left
can play
shot.
both.
He's a left
he can play
shot.
both.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, sure. At this point, what else you got for me? You got a better solution?
Give me a quick second, and I will.
I'm just saying to get a guy going.
Okay.
And maybe you'll stumble upon something that works.
I'm on board with this idea. Let me pitch you this real quick. Cross with Nate with Watson, and then your second line of
That does the opposite of what I just said I wanted to do.
just chill. Chill. It's going to go against it, but you're talking about trying to get a spark somewhere offensively. Snively, Dries, Shine, second line.
I mean, we've seen that as a first line before.
Put your three together.
It wasn't consistent.
But again, like you got to put the bingo balls together somehow. Just because it didn't work then doesn't mean it's not going to work now. Like,
sure, maybe it's better matchups than them being the first line. So
correct.
Sure. I still think you have to break up Nate and Waddy at that point. I don't know. They've got to get it going.
You got to put Nate, Elmer, and Hanas. There it is. Let's just see what happens. Put him on the third.
I mean, let's be real.
You're not putting Nate on the third line. That's the issue.
Well, but let's be real, though. When Elmer was paired with Watson and Danielson, Elmer was clearing space. He was making space for Watson and Danielson to go out there and do a lot of things. That's where you saw a lot of Watson's points come from, was during that stretch. Maybe you go back to that. I don't know the answer because I'm not an AHL head coach. I mean, hell, give Roklovsky a chance at this point. Just try something different. It goes back to the power play conversation.
Put Seager up there.
Put Seager up there. He's been playing great. Sure. Put Deuce up there. Get him really rolling. Why not? Put a guy like him on the first line that can throw the body and clear space as well. Like, I don't care. I just think you got to try something different.
Put the bingo balls in the thing. Start rolling the tumbler.
Dude, I'm here for it at this point, just to try to get something scoring wise going, because you go again 2 games where you score 10 goals in 2 games. It doesn't just dry up like that. It's not how that works. Something's got to give here, and the guys got to get rolling. And their schedule coming up does not get any easier. Like, you've got good teams coming in to Van Andel for these next 3 games that are going to pose a challenge. If they play like they did this past weekend, they're going to lose all 3. I'm just going to say that now. They will lose all 3 if they play like that again. They cannot do that. And mind you, they lost to a Manitoba team that scratched Brad Lambert both games. Whether he's injured or not, who cares? You're missing top talent from Manitoba in both those games, and we still got beat in both, especially on the power play. Like, that's so rough. But you have Chicago coming to town Wednesday, who's absolutely rolling. They're 8-2 in their last 10. And then you have Cleveland back-to-back again. After you lit them up for 10 goals in 2 games and then shut them out at home the following game, they're going to come in with a scoring vengeance. You're going to see Rocco, Luka, and Trey try to light it up. And you better be ready defensively to shut them down, and you got to be ready offensively to produce.
I got it.
What do you got?
I got it.
What's the answer?
I got it. It just came to my head. I'm sorry to cut you off, but it had to be done. First game back. Snively, Danielson, Mazur.
When he's back, yeah, sure.
Which is like probably within the next week and a half. So it's coming. It's coming.
That doesn't answer for the next 3 games.
I'm just saying, like,
I know.
Like,
no,
your reinforcement's
100%.
Coming. So
It is.
And there
It
you get
can't
your
come
Watson.
soon enough.
Then you can lower Watson down, get him away, split him up, and Brandon's happy.
This is
But how do you find that 2-game scoring where you didn't have Carter Mazur in the lineup, where you scored 10 goals on an elite team? The spark just fizzled out.
I don't know. Like, it's got to come from internal. Like, they're not getting help from somebody else. Like,
no, and I look back at these games too. Like, I look at where did the lineup go? Shit, I just had it. Hold on.
This proves brandsegg-nygård should have been here. That's why they wanted him here. This is what this proves. This is all that it proves.
So here's the lineup New Year's Eve, where we lit up Cleveland at home with 5 goals. Snively, Danielson, Watson, Gettinger, Dries, Shine, Soderblom, Seager, Hanas, Doucette, Betcher. They went 11-7 in this game.
Oh.
Nick's happy.
Well, I've been looking to figure out what their record is, 11-7. So that's why I didn't see that one listed.
I don't know how you missed that one. That was the biggest one. Then you look at the game before that, where they also lit up Cleveland for 5 goals. Same lineup, minus, I think, Doucette and Raklovsky moved around a little bit here. I'm going between 2 windows, so bear with me. Yeah, Raklovsky wasn't in the second game, even though they still scored 5 goals in that one. So that lineup I had listed there. Then they come back to Cleveland for the first game of the year, do not go 11-7, and they go with the Snively, Danielson, Watson, Soderblom, Dry, Shine, Doucette, Gettinger at center, Hanas, Johannes, Seeger, Raklovsky. We rewind just back to this weekend. We'll use Saturday's game. Snively, Danielson, Watson, Soderblom, Dry, Shine, Gettinger, Seeger, Hanas, Johannes, Betcher, Raklovsky. The best 2 games we had recently either had Tim Gettinger at second line winger. Sorry, I think both did.
No,
Yeah.
yeah. Center.
No, both those 2 games we scored 5 goals. Tim Gettinger was second line winger and Soderblom was back on the third line.
Okay, so do that. There's your solution until you get Mazur back. You just found it.
Timmy G, need you, buddy.
And
the
throw
thing
Cross,
is, like,
put Cross with Nate and Shine. To hell with it.
dude, done.
And then
Because you still have a protector out there for freaking Nate.
put Watson out there with Dries and Gettinger.
I'm signing off on it. Good to go. I hope everyone enjoyed our rant about scoring because I knew that would be a rant.
More
Because
like my rant. I feel like I just took up an hour's worth of time.
that's kind of what I needed you to do.
Coming from
Oh,
the
yeah.
guy that hasn't watched many games of them in the last couple weeks.
If you're doing it based on stats, you did it well. So at the same time, the score, it's got to change, right? Fans, we're frustrated. We want to see more goals because this team has the capability to score a lot of goals. We've seen it. And yes, the reinforcements are coming with Ammo and Mazur, but we've got to figure it out between now and there. Again, 3 big games, 2 of them being out of division games to earn some points back that you lost for those 2 in division games. And normally, like, you're like, why does that matter? The Griffins aren't first in the division anymore, folks. They are tied for first with Texas.
Hit
Like
the panic
that-
button.
No,
I
don't
did.
hit the panic button. But at the same time, like, those points are going to matter. The Central Division, we can say it over and over again. It's one of the tightest divisions in the American Hockey League, if not the tightest. Like, it's always coming down to the wire for seeding, and you always want to be that top team so you don't have to play the stupid best of 5 play-in round BS or best of 3, whatever it is in the American
of
League
3.
this year. I'm sure they'll change it again. But the division goes as follows. Texas technically first by winning percentage right now. Grand Rapids, Milwaukee behind them. Chicago 1 point now behind Milwaukee. Rockford 2 points behind Chicago. Iowa and Manitoba still at the bottom. Like,
Those top 4 are
Chicago's-
so close. They're so
it is
good.
too close.
It's going to be
It
fun.
it's going to be a lot of fun. And like I said, you got Chicago coming into town Wednesday for a Wednesday game like they usually do. I feel like we play a ton of Wednesday games against the Wolves. And then you got Cleveland. Cleveland's still second in their division. In their last 10 games, they're 5-4-0-1. 2 of those losses are from us. And the overtime or shootout losses from us. So, yeah, we've got it's a tough one coming up.
What is it? The top 5 make the
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
But the first round or top team gets that bye, or is it top 2 teams get the? I don't remember.
Top one.
We'll go into playoffs when playoffs come around. The important thing is Griffin's got to start scoring goals. They've got
On
to
the
start
power
scoring goals in bunches. I mean, that would be even better. But to wrap this episode up, we did throw out on Twitter and all the other social media platforms if listeners had questions for us, and a lot of the questions were about the power play, and I hope we answered those for you. I know Griff's Nest, you guys asked one. Randy, you asked one about the power play as well. Randy did throw a second question, as he always does at us, so I'm going to throw this one at you guys. From Randy, what's your favorite arena food? Nick, you first.
At the Van Andel,
He says, what's your favorite arena food?
I'm just gonna say specifically at Van Andel, I am typically eating the popcorn and usually popcorn or pizza and popcorn. Sometimes
Travis,
you
what's
give me
your-
some ice cream.
Oh, yeah, you do like ice cream. Travis, what's your arena snack?
Brandon, you got to go next because I've been to too many different arenas to know at the moment. So
Fine. What's your Toledo arena snack? I'll make it easy for you.
Toff's ice cream.
Yeah, ice cream.
Because I don't eat a lot at the games. Like I don't normally eat when I'm there.
I stress eat.
It's not healthy. Well, ice cream is always a good
free
option
for you. Come on, you have that luxury. I don't want to hear it.
He does eat a lot of popcorn at games, folks. I can confirm. Usually, he sits down by the first period. There's already a bag half gone. It is 100% true.
No, it's gone because he's Charlie Conway's mom from Mighty Ducks when she's throwing the popcorn up into the air when they score the goal. And then he's like, oh, shoot, I'm on press row. I can't scream or cheer, and the popcorn's flying.
I can't help it. I stress eat. And, like, when the games are close, I hate the 0-0 games. I hate the 0-1 games. I stress out. I snack. I have to. I do it a job, too.
The Griffs got to start scoring for Nick's health here.
Yeah,
stress eating when you're not scoring. Come on, boys. Let's get it rolling.
The solution here is just put on the 80s Oilers film and and have the Griffins watch it. So it'll make Nick happy because they'll score more than one goal a game, and it'll make everybody happy because they're scoring 5-6 goals a game.
Jesus. My arena food go-to it's popcorn. I do like popcorn. I do enjoy the Griffins hot dogs, not the $2 hot dog night hot dogs. Those are just terrible. But the regular hot dogs are delicious. They cost way too much money for a hot dog, but at the same time, they are really good. Last question we had was from our buddy Tyler Kuehl, who's been a guest on the show a few times. And, he usually throws us a non-hockey related question, and it's usually chaos, but he mixed the two. And how much wood could Wallander chuck if Wallander could chuck wood?
How many sticks has he broke this year?
That's a Dog Thompson question. We'll have to ask. Tyler, we'll get back to you when we confirm with Dog how many sticks he's broken and chucked across the arena. Oh, thanks, Tyler. Always appreciate the laugh. Outside of that, to wrap this episode up, like we talked about, the schedule coming up this week, the Griffins do have those 3 games. There's a ton of other stuff going on at the arena this weekend, too. We just wanted to put out there for everyone. Obviously, winning Wednesday, if you go to the Wednesday game and they win, you get a ticket to the next Wednesday game. It's probably one of the best promotions the Griffins have ever done. It usually puts butts in seats and fills the arena really good for a weekday game. You also have Wingwheel Podcast Night coming up at the rink on Saturday. We know the boys will be in town for that one. They do their live show beforehand. I know it's officially sold out, so congrats to them on another sold-out event. Love seeing the success they have, and always love getting to chat with the boys when they're in town, and looking forward to seeing them. You also have Dino Night that night, where the Griffins will be repping the Jurassic Park jerseys, probably the second most popular jersey going into the season when it comes to specialty jerseys outside of the Gridiron one that I know fans are really excited to see on the ice. I'm excited to see what equipment kit goes with it. Are we going the all-black equipment with it? Because, God, that would look sick. So, Dog, if you're listening, I hope that's the plan, buddy. And then on top of that as well, you have the annual Great Skate, which if you're not familiar with what the Great Skate is, it is a 24-hour event down at Rosa Park Circle. We're at the ice rink down there where every hour you get to skate with a different Griffins player. And yes, this goes from when the game is over Saturday night until 10 p.m. on Sunday. And they are skating overnight at, 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. You always wonder who's going to get stuck with those schedules like that. This schedule is posted on the Griffins website as well if you're looking to see who you want to skate with there. And I know I usually try to make an appearance down there, but I can't skate, so you usually just find me around the rinks. I can't skate. Make fun of me in the comments. Feel free. Nick can't either, so make fun of him too.
Why drag me into this?
You both are lame.
It's nice tonight.
That's our goal. We got to teach you clowns how to skate.
I did find out I have free skating through my job, so there's a benefit. So we might try to utilize this.
Yeah, it might be a thing that we've talked about wanting to do and figure out. And maybe we'll film it for some extra content for everybody to enjoy, because I'm sure it'll be an absolute dumpster fire to watch us attempt to skate. Because I did as a kid, so I'm sure I'll pick it up pretty quick again. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. But like I said, that schedule is posted on the Griffins website. I'll link it in the description of the episode too if you're looking to see who's skating when. I just know the first skaters Saturday night are Griffin Finn. They kick off the action, as they usually do, right after the game there. It starts at 10 o'clock. And then a whole list of guys, including our buddy Dog Thompson, will be there right after that. And if you're looking for who's got probably the worst one in the books here, actually, I think the coaches got screwed this year. You got Dan Watson at 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. and Steph Julian from 4 a.m. to 5 a.m. Sebastian Coase has got the 2 a.m. to 3 a.m. slot though too. So again, just it's a fun event. Go down there, check it out. It always brings a lot of fans, and you don't get the opportunity to really skate with the guys that often. Not in gear. They're there to just have fun, sign autographs and all that stuff. So great event. And you can also go into their, I think they do a silent auction for it, but also you can sponsor the players for the event as well. And it all goes towards the Griffins Youth Foundation, which is pretty cool. I know they shared the leaderboard with that this morning, and our buddy Dog was not up as high as we got him last year. So maybe we got to make another campaign last minute here to get Dog up to the top of the list, just like we did last season. But that's all the upcoming stuff this weekend. A lot going on in Grand Rapids, crazy schedule for all of us. We're all excited, but outside of that, I have nothing else to add to this episode. Of course, as always, though, we do have to thank our sponsors of the show, DraftKings, and of course, the Hockey Podcast Network for being great partners with us, and the long-standing sponsor of the show, Everything Hockey Clothing Company. Make sure you head over to everythinghockey.com. Use code WEST to save a few bucks off your order. It helps us as well, but you also save some money, so good for you. Pick up some hoodies, t-shirts, whatever they've got going right now. They keep dropping new gear, I feel like, every week at this point, new updated hoodies. There's some sweet Hockey Canada ones on there if you're a Hockey Canada fan, and some cool US ones too. But at the same time, outside of that, just go check them out and use code WEST because it helps us out and saves you guys money. And of course, on top of all the sponsors and everything else, the show would not be possible, again, without our Patreon subscribers. And those guys currently are...
We got Randy, Michael, Lori, John in Florida, Griffin, Elaine, Derek, and Alan.
Thank you guys for the love and support. If you want to join them, head over to patreon.com/HockeytownWest podcast. Check out the tiers we have over there and look forward to some new content and future giveaways and all that fun sort of stuff on there. We keep the tiers super cheap because we know money's tight for everybody. We want to make it affordable and also give you guys a good amount of content for your money that you're giving us there. So again, appreciate everyone who's already jumped over there. Make sure you head over and check it out and join everyone else that's already supporting the show. Outside of that, boys, I've got nothing else. Until we talk again, go Griffins, go Walleye.
Love you. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to the Hockeytown West podcast. Be sure to check us out on Twitter at HockeytownWPod and your host, Nick at GR Hockey Guy and Brandon at BrandonGR Hockey.